Welcome to another Torbay Elite Fantasy Football podcast with myself, Mr. Bull, here in sunny Torbay, and my good friend Steve-O. Steve-O, how are you, mate?
Well, you'd asked that me after on Sunday morning, I would have told you that I'm having the worst weekend of my life. If you'd asked me on Monday, I would have said that I'm giving up on fantasy football full stop. So it's been a few days and I'm actually now calm. So hello, Dan.
Hello there, yes. So we're back to two. Jason's got some other commitments, but once more we'll still be talking about all the movers and shakers in the league, the top four. Things are really getting interesting now. We'll obviously be talking about our own teams and also covering Steve-O's transfers for game week 9, which he's going to reveal, and also addressing a question from Simon Bellamy regarding the international break and fantasy football. So Steve-O, it sounds like you've got a lot you want to get off your chest, mate, about this top four. It's been quite an eventful game week.
Yeah, we'll start with the good stuff. I think in Jason's honour, I will start praising him from now, basically. So Jason and Ben are just completely dominating the top at the moment. So Jason sits atop 14 point clear of Ben. Ben sits clear of third, 44 points, clear of brand new third spot, Terry Roos, that is. And yeah, Jason had a stunning week, 68 points. His overall rank is at 977. It all came through for him, barring his captain, really. Patrizio coming in, Trippier, Alonso, Hazard, Fraser with an assist. Of course, he doubled that up with Wilson, getting 2 assists and a goal. And of course, the dreadful Kane captain. Ben Towler, 70 points. But this is where it's interesting for Jason. It's a shame that Jason isn't here because I wanted to discuss with him about the key things that is the differential for Ben. Now, Ben's differentials are, of course, your man at Arsenal, Bellerin, Robertson, Richarlison. I mean, you can see there with Ben's team, it's a nice, comfortable little setup there where it's got some nice differentials, but it's also got the obvious covers of Hazard, Kane. You can see why these two are completely dominating, and Ben is 3,366 in the world. So yeah, if we look at Terry's team now, by pure coincidence, Terry got the highest game score this week in our league of 83 points. And my God, we discussed. So if anybody watched the weekend reaction to Saturday's 3 p.m. kickoffs, I instantly was banging the drum about the fact that if anybody had Captain Hazard, they're in for a treat. And I knew for a fact that Terry would almost certainly be in the top 4. I didn't realise how well the weekend would go for them Sunday when Hazard turned up, got in the goal, got on the assist. I mean, he got an Edison clean sheet. We'll discuss the results from the other day in a minute. Edison clean sheet. Trippier, of course, Alonso, Richarlison. He got his captain, Hazard. Wilson there, Jimenez with an assist. Just points galore, just coming out everywhere. And then we move on to my team, Dan.
Oh, man.
2 points. Yeah, 2 points below the average score. It's just disgusting. I mean, look at it. I mean, we discussed on Saturday evening, but I'll tell you what killed me. Dan. I mean, what were your thoughts on the Man City-Liverpool game ending 0-0? I was just head in hands, just like, this is basically the worst result possible for myself. What did you think of the 0-0, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I've watched the game. It's one of those ones where a game build up to be an amazing game. We built it up as well in the last podcast we did, and it was just both teams cancelled each other out. But it goes back to that thing you said about the history, and having watched your reactionary podcast on Sunday morning ahead of the game in the afternoon, it was when Aguero came off and the commentator was talking about the history. And Aguero's got a brilliant record away to Liverpool, and I just thought to myself, there's that bloody history again. Not only has it beat me in predictions, it's depriving me of FPL points on my team. But yeah, it wasn't really the game we thought it would be, and the source of great game week scores came from the other games, i.e. Chelsea in form away to Southampton have been dreadful most of the season. So when you think about it, we always talk about jumping on bandwagons and getting coverage, but you just sit back and think to yourself, Eden Hazard's in the best form ever for Chelsea. And Chelsea are playing really good attacking football. Southampton are letting goals left, right and centre. Just take a little risk. So,
I wanted to talk to you about Eden Hazard, actually, because I'm kind of seeing some form of pattern forming here where, so Hazard, as we all know, has been linked with Real Madrid. He's come out today or yesterday saying that he's not going to be moving this year anyway, or in January, whatever. Well, is it coincidence that, you know, we had Ronaldo, Suarez, Bale, all having absolute phenomenal seasons before they moved away to Real Madrid or Barcelona? Even Hazard, he's having an absolute stunning season this year with a link to Real Madrid. Do you think he's just performing in this way so he just wants to prove that, yeah, I'm basically a Galactico almost?
I think there's a few factors. I mean, he had an excellent World Cup. There's one. So his confidence is high from there. Sarri as well likes to play the attacking football. I think we've talked about this before, where Conte was focusing on him defending and getting back and helping out, and that really kind of stifled his creativity. So I think he's kind of been let loose a little bit with this new manager and this new system. And yeah, I think he's even admitted the other day that he's going to make a decision towards the end of this season as to whether he goes to Real Madrid. He's just been really honest about it, which is actually quite refreshing, saying that in his eyes, Real Madrid is the best club out there, the biggest club in the world. He feels like he's got one more transfer, but he also loves being at Chelsea. A lot of players are quite candid about it, but he just said, you know, if Real Madrid come calling, what player's going to refuse? So, and Real Madrid aren't having the best of seasons in La Liga, so I think it could be a case that he does leave. But as you said, like with Ronaldo, one more year, Suarez, one more year. I think that's how some of these Premier League teams hold on to these real world-class superstars and say, look, one more year, and Barcelona or Real Madrid come knocking and go. So at the moment, Hazard's the MVP for me this season so far. And I'm, you know, looking ahead, going back, we'll cover this a bit more, but thinking about the whole Salah Hazard conundrum, you can't take Hazard out of the team at the moment.
No, I mean, I've done some maths about my transfers last week, and I'm basically, it looks to be like I'm -7 in total. So taking into that account, I'd actually be, if I hadn't taken any hit, if I hadn't done any of my transfers, I would have ended up with +7, and I would be third now. So my transfers that I did were Mitrovic, Mane and Mendy out. Of course, Mendy turns up playing against Liverpool and gets that that clean sheet. So I took them out for a -4, brought in a TAA, so Trent Alexander-Arnold, who got an almighty 0. Anthony Knockaert got me 3, as you can see. And, of course, Harry Kane, the captain's choice, who got us all a big...
Don't start me on that one. Don't start me.
I did say that I wanted to talk about my transfers, and I'm going to reveal what I've done. So if anybody wants to listen in now, I'm going to reveal what I've done for my transfers because, as I said, as you can see, I've had a disaster of a game week. And there are 2 players that I highlighted, there was one player that I highlighted, which I'm sick to death of. And Jason brought to my attention that it was actually me that's created this bench headache. And I was the one that said, I don't want to create a bench headache. Well, I've taken his advice. So I have decided to, here we go, drum roll. I haven't brought in Salah. So people may be thinking I may have brought in Salah. I haven't. I've actually brought in a Liverpool asset. Can you guess who it is, Dan, in a few seconds? Can you guess which I brought in?
Mane.
No. Quick answer and our quick response. No, I brought in Andrew Robertson.
Oh, yeah.
The reason being is because I've decided to double up on Liverpool. I have no faith in Salah whatsoever. I've done some extensive research, and you mentioned the history a minute ago, and I've been seriously concerned at the fact that the history seems to be doing really, really well this year when it comes to our predictions. There was an article on the Fantasy Football Scout site where somebody had done a lot of research into the history, certainly this year, and the history is coming on top with all predictions for the outcomes of games and everything. And I'm taking that really, really seriously. And I've looked at my team and I thought, right, do I get rid of Kane to bring in Salah? Or do I double up with a Liverpool defence and just keep Kane in my team along with Aguero? Well, I've done it. I've kept Kane and Aguero. Their history suggests that I'm going to be in for a good time this weekend only. Now, we're going to be doing a separate podcast next week regarding the game, so I'm not really going to go into much detail about this particularly now. But what I will say is that Harry Kane and Aguero have some excellent records against Burnley and West Ham, respectively. So, yeah, I've decided to do a double up on Trent Alexander-Arnold and Robertson for their upcoming games against Cardiff and Huddersfield. I'm not too concerned about Salah because I believe that, as we've already said about 1,000 times, his price doesn't warrant the points that he's returning. Now, the other transfer that I've done, so I've done a -4. The other transfer I brought in was to get rid of Lucas Moura. Whoop-de-doo. I did this to fund the move to get Robertson in. Now, the question is, who did I bring in? Now, some people could be saying when I reveal this person that this creates another benching headache. Well, for me, it doesn't, because I believe that who I'll be playing in front of him will be getting more points anyway. So I brought in that Brooks of Bournemouth. I don't know his first. Is it Adam Brooks, his first name? I don't know.
Possibly.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's Adam Brooks. So I brought him in. At the moment, he's scored 2 goals, one game after the other. He's the informed midfielder at a cheap price. And to be honest with you, I'm happy to bring him in for... He's 5 million at the end of the day. I couldn't afford Ryan Fraser. I didn't want to bring in that bench headache. So, yeah, it's another point here. I kind of made a decision that I didn't want to make too many hits this year. However, due to me personally panicking last week, that we've already discussed, I've kind of thought to myself, I'm going to have to do something about this team. Lucas Moura has done absolutely nothing for me since I brought him in. He's an absolute waste of space. I'm now going to be predominantly playing a 3-4-3 each week. But yeah, so it's Robertson and Brooks in for Lucas Moura, and I've completely forgotten who else I took out. Oh, Mende, of course. So yeah, got rid of them too. So yeah, Dan, I mean, going on to your team, you've got a respectable 61 points. Patrizio coming in, Trippier with Charlton, Hazard, yeah. But my goodness, Matt Doherty of Wolves.
I was so happy.
15 points, Dan.
I know. Well, obviously I saw that Wolves had won, so I was like thinking, clean sheet, bonus points. I didn't know who'd scored, but I mean, when I did the wild card, it's like 3 game weeks ago now. I think it's just bringing in Patricio and Doherty, seeing that Wolves have had this great start to the season and the defence has been good, and those differentials just paid off for me the last few game weeks. Jumped on the Trippier bandwagon, but it's funny you mentioned Robertson, because I was actually thinking this the other day. I was thinking, maybe it was a bit knee-jerk to take him out, considering Liverpool's next 7 to 8 fixtures. Because they're actually pretty favourable, to be fair. So I may live to regret that. I mean, we talk about standout scores. I was in the pub watching the Man United Newcastle match and saw the scores. And yeah, Watford got smashed 4-0 at home by Bournemouth. I did not see that coming whatsoever. And then obviously -1, just absolutely dire. But yeah, Doherty, having done my research into him, quite an attacking fullback, did well in the Championship last season, and Wolves have just been solid. Patricio, I kind of nicked him from Jay, because Jay kept singing his praises, and I thought, yeah, this guy, I mean, he was good in Euro 2016, I remember, but yeah, he's just, been a revelation. He solved my goalkeeping dilemma, I think, actually. But, I mean, going on to my midfield, yeah, it's a bit of a mixture. And Carlson didn't deliver for me the game week before, and I captained him. But he did get a goal, so kind of made up for it in a way. Maddison and Lucas Moura just absolutely dire. And then really up front, it's just absolutely abysmal. I mean, Mitrovic didn't get a kick in against Arsenal. So, and Aguero and Kane, 3 points between the two of them. I mean, Kane, prior to the Cardiff game, Kane scored that great goal. I know Tottenham lost, but he scored a really good goal against Barcelona that we both saw. And you just think confidence must be sky high after scoring that goal, even though the team lost. And then they score after 8 minutes against Cardiff, and you're thinking, right, here we go. But it just didn't happen. And maybe we've underestimated Cardiff a little bit because they have put in some quite spirited. I know they took a battering from Man City, but they put in some spirited performances. But there's that issue of the creativity in the Tottenham midfield. They've had a few injuries, and it just feels like Kane's supply's been cut off a bit, maybe. And that was a big factor in a lot of game weeks, and it was the decision that broke a lot of people's game weeks, really.
I mean, you mentioned we had a comment from Cy Bellamy. He just asked a simple question on the Instagram page. If anybody wants to follow the Instagram page, is at Torbay Elite. He asked the simple question of, what do we think of the international break regards to FPL not being played, basically? Are we stressing about it? Do we even think about fantasy football? From my point of view, I am constantly thinking about fantasy football, but I've already discussed my transfers. Dan, have you even thought about any transfers looking at your team yourself?
I've thought about a few, yeah. I mean, as much as I'm quite into international, I think I buck the trend for most people that just roll their eyes and whatever, but I'm really getting into the Premier League. It's a bit like, but I think with the international break, it obviously gives you a little, it's almost like in real life for teams, they say, oh, the international break has come at a good time for us, or a bad time for us. Like, so for Arsenal, it's come at a bad time because we're on such a good run of form. But it does give you that, and I think we do see this tendency for people to play their wild card because they've got so much time to think about their team, and the couple of weeks they might think, well, I've got all this time, and then they end up, tendency to get the wild card out. So that could be a factor in it. But yeah, I think it does give you that worry about players going on international duty, particularly those that are going to South America or to Africa, and particularly South America when they're coming back late in the rotation risk. I mean, Sanchez is an example. He's obviously got a game for Chile, and then Man United play Chelsea at 12:30 on the Saturday. So that, yes. I know he did score against Newcastle, but I don't know how many people have got that guy in their team. So I think it's okay, but sometimes I always maintain that you can overthink it. Yeah, your strategy a little bit too much, and it gives you almost that tendency to have too much time. So it can be frustrating.
I mean, again, referring to your team, you're 45 points off me in fourth. You're 89 points off Jason in first. What are you thinking now in the international break? Are you just kind of like thinking, right, I really want to be pushing for fourth spot? Are you thinking I want to get into to top the league? Or do you just think it's fourth or nothing? How do you feel?
I feel better over the last few weeks. I mean, I started the season really well, and then I had some terrible game weeks. And FPL was such an unforgiving game, as we all know from our experiences over the years. So I'm thinking fourth place is a realistic target. So I'm kind of breathing down your neck a little bit, but it's kind of, I love to sort of use the analogies and the boxing one where you just stay in the ring, keep on fighting and ducking. And the key thing for me this game we've just gone is I know that two of my rivals, well, in previous game weeks, have used their triple captain. So I've still got that up my sleeve. I know that Dale and Si have both used that. So I've still got that in my armory, so to speak. So that's what I'm kind of thinking is be consistent. I know Pete always used to say, at least get 50, 60 points a week so you're still in the running. And then you've got those chips which have added such a dimension to the game that you can think, right, triple captain, maybe there'll be a double game week. Maybe I'll roll the dice a bit, take a risk, and that will pay off. Don't, keep looking at players that are in form, follow patterns, look at the history, as you say, and just keep ticking along. But realistically, fourth is realistic. I mean, it's quite a big. I mean, it's 89 points. I know it's been done before, but you'd have to do something extraordinary. Even just looking at the top 10, looking at the players they've got, looking at differentials, it is going to be hard. But I'm looking at the teams in and around me and just got a few little ideas. But Liverpool's an interesting one with the fixtures they've got coming up. I think that could make or break many people's season, gambling on Salah or Mane or just one of the attacking assets they got, because those fixtures for the next. I looked at them last night actually. I do a bit of fixture research, and they've got us at the Emirates, but the way we're playing at the moment, as well as we are playing, I think we are going to take a battering from some of these soon. So,
well, I was gonna bring up Arsenal with you, because another standout score last week for me was actually Arsenal battering Fulham 5-1, and Lacazette again, of course. He is really, really sticking the knife into me at the moment. The people that are wondering why I'm making that comment, it's quite simple, really. So I did my wild card a few weeks in the last international break, and for the whole period of time, I had a front two of Lacazette and Aguero, and then it just came to like the last minute, basically, almost, and I decided, no, I can't do this. I've got to go for the 3-4-3. Since then, Lacazette has just been punishing me every single week. He got 2 goals. Aubameyang, 2 goals, 1 assist. I mean, these are 2 players. These are 2 players I'm seriously considering investing in. And, I mean, what are your thoughts on the lack of... we don't even mention, ironically, our podcast team that we have.
Can we have a look at it?
Yeah, have a look at it. Yeah, stick on. There's
I've looked at it for quite some time now, have we? So
I'm pretty sure it's definitely got Aubameyang in the team as the straightforward captain. We're actually 41st, Dan. We don't need to go on that. Really? 61 points this week, quite extraordinary, and really well, because all the lower teams did exceptionally well, as we all know. And as people can see there, Aubameyang there got as our captain there.
30 points.
The point. Yeah, just quite extraordinary. Monreal getting the assist.
I mean, Aubameyang didn't even start the game, so
no. Yeah, and when people were feeding me the information at work, I was just like, it's typical. It's just typical my blinking luck, to be honest with you. But it's funny because you mentioned upcoming fixtures and. Well, again, we'll be coming up nearer the time, but yeah, Liverpool. I've got a theory on Arsenal / Unai Emery, which is quite simply, he's a very attack-minded manager. It's quite clear that he wants his players to just, a bit like Sarri, really, just kind of enjoy himself. However, I just don't think he's got the tactical nous of knowing how to defend against teams. I think that he just says, go out, score as many goals as you can. However, the problem is that when he comes up against some of the elite teams, like Liverpool, Man City, whoever, it's a case of, right, yeah, we can't do anything here, so we're just going to... A bit like with PSG, when he came up against he could destroy anybody in League, and that was just a given. But when it came to the Champions League, a bit like Celtic as well...
It was a 2-leg game in Barcelona.
Yeah. Are you a bit worried with Emre's kind of like attack-mindedness, or does it not bother you at all and you think that actually you could give anybody a game? I mean, we saw what happened with the Chelsea game, actually.
Yeah, I mean, as I always maintain in these podcasts on Ask about it, it's his first season. He's taken over from a manager that's been in charge for 22 years. Give the guy time. But particularly the games Watford-Everton, we conceded a lot of chances, and Petr Cech had a brilliant game. Leno had a great game as well. So, I mean, even Paul Merson was saying on Sky Sports that he believes that we're going to get a battering soon. And I do think that battering could come against Liverpool because of the chances we've conceded. We can't keep saving them. But I like to see attacking football. And that game on Sunday was just, particularly the second half, it was just fantastic. And you can see that, particularly Iwobi, that's a player that could be a potential differential. He has come of form, particularly in the last 3 to 4 games, and he's playing with a lot more freedom and looks like the shackles are off. And I think it's a fresh start for a lot of players. Even Bellerin, he's starting to get a couple of assists now, and we always like to see attacking football at the Arsenal, and I think it does feel like finally the players are starting to, compared to last season, we're losing all those games away. They're actually starting to perform to their potential. But as you say, like the start of the season, Man City, they could have scored more goals. Chelsea, we did well against to come back, but I do think there's a bit of an issue between the midfield protecting the defence and the defence being on point. But Torreira's looking good, not from an FPL perspective, to be fair, but he's that little pit bull in the midfield that we've missed for many years. So enjoying the attacking football, enjoying the results while they last, but the last 9 games have been favourable fixtures. When we play Liverpool, that's when there's a real acid test. So it's going to be squeaky bum time come November. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those where it's players like you mentioned, Lacazette, Aubameyang, Bellerin, as Ben's got in his team. These are players that you want to be looking at to make up ground because, I mean, between 1st and 5th in our mini-league, there's 55 points. I mean, I know it's I say it's early in the season, but it would take a miracle for Jason to fall out of that top 4. I just can't see losing out. It can be done. It's not impossible, but between 1st and 5th, 55 points. Between 4th and 5th, so basically myself and I think it's Lee Phillips that's 5th. There's only 9 points. 2nd and 3rd, I mean, 30 points. It's madness. It's one of those where, I mean, going back to Si's question regarding the international break, for me personally, it's kind of like come at a good time because I felt for myself that I was really getting caught up in this overall rank rather than looking at the smaller picture, which is our mini league. Because I've never started off so well in my life in fantasy football. And I was as high as in the top 8,000. I mean, Jason, as we all know, is just flying off the wall, and Ben Towler. But I was kind of thinking more about the overall rank than I was actually about the mini league, and I wasn't really concentrating on Jason's team or Ben's team or even people like below me, like Terry, Cy Bellamy's and whatnot. And I think it just took me over. It just took over my head. And I was more concerned about bringing in some form of differentials or whatever, rather than actually thinking, do you know what? Let's just stick to what I've got, calm myself down. And unfortunately, it's completely backfired on myself. So I think personally for me, in answer to going back to Si's question, I just look at my position where I am. And for me, I've made 2 safety transfers. This is what I personally think. I've made 2 safety transfers where I believe that actually I'd confidently say that I'm pretty much guaranteed 2 clean sheets. I'd like to think that. The question is whether my bench points continue completely piling up ahead of my actual first 11. But we can only wait and see, really. But other than that, Dan, I think that's pretty much covered it, mate.
Yeah, that's pretty much covered it. It's been an interesting reflection on game week 8. And obviously, as you can see, Steve-O's got his England top on. So international break with the Euro Nations League and all the qualifiers across the world. So a break from FPL this weekend. But next week, we'll be doing a preview of game week 9 and hoping to be joined again by Jason to discuss the upcoming game week. So enjoy your break from FPL. Don't worry too much about your transfer. Just enjoy a bit of international football for a bit of a change. And have a great weekend. See you later, Steve-O.
Cheers, Dan. See you later, everybody.
Good luck.